I think we're live. Hello. Today, I'm going to talk a little bit more about sleep. And there are a couple reasons why I've chosen sleep and to talk about sleep at this time of year. We've just been through daylight savings time. And for a lot of us, even though it's only 1 hour, it really wreaks havoc with our schedule. If you have children or pets or a schedule that is fairly restricted in that you have to do certain things at certain times, like get up in the morning, all of that kind of stuff, then it really makes a difference that 1 hour. And it throws things off a little bit, things including sleep. For me, it's easier to stay up an hour later than it is to go to bed an hour earlier. For some reason, my body's just like, I don't know if we're ready to go to sleep yet, but we can stay up and do something else as far as that goes. So it's really, especially in the spring, a challenge to when we set the clocks forward to begin to go to bed earlier. I've talked a little bit about why sleep is important, but I want to give you not so much a physical explanation, but more of because I talk a lot about what happens to the body, but I want to give some real practical things that happen when we don't get enough sleep. And the first is it affects judgment. And so we can't make as good of decisions. When we are sleep deprived, depending upon how sleep deprived we are, it can be the same as if we have had alcohol, and we could be considered at the legal limit. That means that our balance is off. So if you've ever been really tired and you notice, man, I seem to be a little bit wobbly, or what's going on here? It's associated with sleep. Judgment is off a little bit. It may be that it takes you longer to make decisions, or you don't feel like your decisions are as sound. And when you're, running a business or in your work environment, many times we have to make decisions on the fly, and being able to make those decisions, being comfortable with them and not having to think them through over and over again is because a lot of times you don't have the time to do that. Or, for example, it might be memory and memory recall. So you're in a meeting and you're talking to somebody, and the sudden you can't remember the name of the thing that you need to talk about. Word capture becomes off. And so you're not as bright or as engaged or as interactive as you normally would be because your brain processing is off. So those are some of the real things that happen. The other thing is that we will then have less self-discipline, meaning that I might not be able to avoid eating that candy bar, that piece of cake, that extra helping of whatever, because when we're tired, our body's trying to figure out all of these ways that it can recruit energy. And one of the easiest ways is to add food. Downside is short-lived, but also we know that if we don't get enough sleep, it has a tendency to add weight around the middle. And so, it's kind of the worst of all worlds, right? You don't want to eat the thing, and then when you eat the thing, you find out, that saying a moment on the lips, forever on the hips, it ends up that it's oops, it's around the waist too. Not at all what we want. So those are some of the real practical reasons, as far as aside from inflammation, heart disease, diabetes, all of those kinds of things, as to why sleep is important. And I kind of make this general, think of it in this way, is that sleep is when your body takes out the trash. So as we sleep at night, the body goes through and it resets a memory. It says, okay, I'm going to change this from the short-term bucket and move it over here to the long-term bucket, so that's when things that we want to remember are shifted over. It also goes through its own natural recycling program. And what that is it goes through the body and it says, I'm going to toss this out because this is a toxin, this is something I don't need or something I don't want. I'm going to recycle this because I know I can use it later. And this recycling piece is really, really important, especially as we start to age and really looking at the impact of sleep and aging, because it's that recycling program, because your body's going to replicate things a certain number of times and then the DNA gets a little bit worn out. But if we recycle, then it is much easier on the DNA and the body in general. So we want to stimulate that recycling program in our bodies. We want to be able to transform that short term memory to long term memory. And with those two things, the recycling in the body gets rid of the things that cause swelling and inflammation. And inflammation, a lot of times, you see puffiness around in the face, extra wrinkling, all of those things associated with not getting enough sleep. I mean, we've all seen people, right, that have been through something that's really traumatic. It can be the death of a spouse or illness of a child or something like that, that they really, for prolonged periods of time, have not gotten sleep. And you can see it on them. You see that they look tired, they look worn out, they may be gaunt looking as far as, sunken eyes, all of that kind of stuff. And a lot of that is sleep and associated with stress. So, sleep is something that's really important. We want to make sleep a priority. And I have in the past talked about there are two different things as far as different ways that people can't get sleep. One is not being able to go to sleep, and number two is not being able to stay asleep. So, the going to sleep piece of it, I gave the exercise where you do the blank right 20 times. Don't want you to do it now, especially if you're at work or operating heavy machinery, i.e., driving or any of those kinds of things. But really try that out. And I'll post a video on the second piece of that. But I wanted to give something to the people that have the issue of waking up in the middle of the night. And a lot of times, this is associated with a drop in your blood sugar. So I know a lot of people are looking at fasting and they're doing 16-hour fasts or some intermittent fasting. Um, and that is great. There are people that tolerate it better than others. It can be 12 hours, 16, 14-hour, 18-hour, whatever it is. Sometimes people will find that if their blood sugar drops low during the middle of the night, that's what wakes them up. Now, that's not always the case. Sometimes as we wake up because we have to go to the bathroom, and then it's an issue of, can I get back to sleep? So even the people who wake up in the middle of the night, there's kind of two camps as far as that goes. I want to talk about the people that have the hard time going back to sleep after they've gone up to go to the bathroom. And again, you can go back and do the blink exercise that I gave for the people that have a hard time falling asleep at night. But there's also a general kind of relaxation thing that you can do and really feeling the weight of your body into the pillow. It's a whole protocol that I have. I'd be happy to share it with you. Either DM me or put a message in the comments, and I'd be happy to share that with you. It's just something that you can listen to at night. There's no visual associated with it, so you don't have to worry about the light streaming in or keeping you awake, any of that kind of stuff. But really want to do anything you can to promote getting a good night's sleep. So that is it for my discussion for today. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow when I have another talk that I'll give, or another video, I should say, in which I'll be talking some more about sleep. And this is other things that you can do to create the perfect sleep environment. I look forward to seeing you then. Bye bye for now.